done it again. A lot of games getting changed out there. A lot of sad people out there too, honestly. You want to feel sorry for them, right? They just don't get it. Pro wrestling. It fucking rules, okay? You know, you can stay fucking seething all you want. Right now, pro wrestling is as cool as I can remember it in a super, super long time. I mean, this feels like really bordering on, early 2019 vibes, to be very honest with you, where you're like, oh my God, we need something fresh, something different. You know, fucking WWE sucks fucking ass. Those late 2018 Raw and SmackDowns sucked. What are we going to do? And then, of course, All Elite Wrestling's announced. The fucking roster's awesome. All that good stuff. And we get AEW and the business goes to another level again. And I feel like we're right there in 2025. I think we're getting really close to another shift happening, and I think it's all because AEW really going back to the basics of what they do, which is just good fucking pro wrestling, stretching out the roster that they have that is so deep. And I feel like last night's Dynamite really sort of echoed that sentiment in a huge way. A lot of great matches and moments. We're going to break it down. Of course, this is a weird week with Dynamite and Collision, 2-night event, so that's why we're sort of doing this on a Thursday. For those of you that listen later, you don't even fucking care, but there are people that actually listen the day it drops. So with that said, we got a lot of fucking wrestling going. Oh right, it's the 100th episode. Whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever, no big deal. Just 100th episode. Started doing this at the in December of 2020. I looked back recently. I think it's kind of funny that we're on episode 100, and I've just recently started going back and looking at some of the old catalog and going, "Oh my God, I listen. I don't think I'm good now, to be really honest. I think a lot of people that do anything, you know, and I really sort of, I struggle to say this is creative, but for me, it's a creative outlet. Anyone that's creative probably will tell you they think they suck. Okay, that's just kind of part of it, and I am no exception to that. But with that said, if you go back and listen to some of the very first TWW shows, they suck. They're so bad. Actually, don't do it, because you'll never listen to the show again if you do that. Guaranteed, because it's fucking horrible. But with that said, 100th episode, let's do it. An old school feel is the title, and that's because, you know what? I'm feeling old school here. I'm feeling very old school. I think AEW's feeling old school as well, and they definitely felt old school with Dynamite last. And what a beginning to that episode we got. Hangman and Will Ospreay face to face. Of course, it started as Hangman in the ring with a heartfelt promo about, you know, I can't believe that after all the awful shit I've done, you people still accept me. This is still my home. And, you know, he's doing the old school babyface thing here of like, you know, I'm in the final of the Owen. I got a chance at a world championship match again. And that's when Ospreay cuts him off. And we get a great little moment here where Ospreay kind of goes heel quite a bit here. I thought that was really interesting, that he really showed an edge of going like, hey, no one gives a fuck, Hangman. It's not about your redemption. It's about my ascension. Great line, by the way. Unbelievable all-timer line for a promo. I thought Ospreay here, not just this promo, but then later he has another promo with somebody else. I think Ospreay has improved on the mic 1,000%. I mean, this guy, when he came into AEW, admittedly, he was there for his wrestling. He wasn't there for the talking. So the talking kind of lacked, and they, you know, had Don Callis with him a little bit, you know, there early on. Even when he turned, he kind of still played around with that because he really couldn't talk. And if you think about it, he never had to talk weekly. He never had to do that. And that was another reason why he went to AEW. He was like, hey, listen, I don't know how to do weekly American television. I've never done that. So I think for that to be the case, I think he's been unbelievable. This last year in AEW, he has leveled up. I mean, unlike anyone I've seen in a very long time. I would put him up there with like I mean, it was different when Angle did it in WWF, right? He was shoot in the business a year. I mean, I don't think anyone will ever be more impressive than him. With that said, though, I think it's similar in like the approach and the positioning. As in, like, Ospreay came in, he was very rough around the edges in some ways, but he was a great wrestler, and so they went with that, and he had great matches, and that was sort of his spot on the card for a little bit. And then once people sort of were like, oh my god, we're really behind this guy, and he went through the Don Callis thing and the Fletcher angle and all that stuff, now people love Will Ospreay. It's not just like, man, I really like him, he's a good wrestler. It's like, we know who Will Ospreay is as a human being and as a performer, and we love that. And this was great. This was a great setup. You know, people really criticize AEW. They don't build it enough, or this was weak, or this was that. This is a great build for Double or Nothing. If you don't give a fuck about Hangman versus Will Ospreay for the Owen at Double or Nothing now, after that, this segment here, this face-to-face, you don't have blood, you don't have a heart, you definitely don't love wrestling. I feel like this is just bare bones pro wrestling, what really works. And in the middle of that, Don Callis family comes out to shit on the parade. And they're like, yeah, well, you know what? Next week at Beach Break, you're going to have to tag against two of my guys, which ends up being Takeshita and Josh Alexander. Fucking amazing. We'll get into Josh Alexander when we get into the Collision breakdown. And I did not forget about last week. That will be the first on the docket. But the first on the docket in the ring was the women's four-way eliminator match. Toni Storm, the champion. Thunder Rosa. Penelope Ford, Anna Jay. I will say this. I love the match, but I feel like this overall segment was quite a mixed bag for me. The only reason I say that it was a mixed bag is for this reason. I think the more that they do these eliminator matches, the more it really sort of doesn't feel like it matters, and specifically the women. At least later on in the Okada-Kevin Knight one, there was like an out for Kevin Knight. Here, I mean, I guess there was a Megan Bain run in, and by the way, clearly the timing on that thing between her and Harley Cameron was very off. I was watching live with a group of people, and they all were saying the same thing in chat. They were like, what is going on? Megan Bain just killing people. This is weird. It fell off. There's this really solid match, and then she runs out, and it's not her fault at all, obviously. I don't know if Harley was late or Megan was early. Either way, it just really, and if it was put together like that, bad call, because it really killed the momentum of this thing. And the other main problem I had with this is, why, since Dynasty, has Toni Storm had these eliminators with all these great young women and great up and comers and great former champions, and she's just beating them? To me, it's like, I don't know what the end game is, and where are we going with her own world title? Like, I guess, like, Megan Bain's the only strong one. Is that where we're going? And we're getting a rematch at Double? I don't know. It feels very disjointed. And it's a shame, because I think the women overall in the ring and as characters and as division outside of the booking of them have been unbelievable. I mean, I think they've all been hitting home runs. Penelope Ford in this match specifically looked amazing. I was like, oh my God, she's gotten so much better than where she was before coming back from injury. Same with Anna Jay, since, being just sitting there after Japan, she was incredible here. All these women, Thunder Rosa, of course, I don't understand the need for Toni Storm to just beat these women in eliminators. For one, why couldn't this have been a championship match? It would have been the same result. It probably would have been better received, in my opinion. So that was bizarre. And I don't know where you go. I guess are they setting up for Anna Jay and Megan Bain next again? I don't know. It's very strange. Now what does Thunder Rosa do? Penelope's just unfortunately a glorified jobber, and Toni's the top woman. I don't know. It felt very, very bizarre, very rare miss, in my opinion, as of late from Toni with the women. I don't, however, think, and I know this is a very low-res image for those of you watching video, I think that works. Hurt Syndicate and MJF. We had MJF basically single-handedly destroy Top Flight, which, I mean, listen, I could sit here and bitch about that, but how long has it been since Top Flight's meant anything in AEW unless they're wrestling the crew? Let's be real. So I get it. You know, it comes off the heels of Bobby last week saying, you know, hey, you want to get in the fucking group, MJF? Actually hurt somebody. So he hurt people. He hurt 2 people. And Bobby was kind of, all right, you know, we'll think about it. MJF's like, all right, motherfucker. So that was basically it. I like this angle. No, a lot of people don't. I will say that it does seem to have that overbooked, extended TK stink on it already. And I don't like that. I don't know what is the thing with Tony Khan where he picks one angle at a time to just go on for ages. I don't know. I feel like this should have been a month angle, maybe 2 with the pay-per-view cycle they have. And we should have been already done with this. We should have at least, you know, had MJF with a new group, or MJF is part of it. Let him be the Owen. I don't know, man. This is fucking weird. I didn't hate the segment, but the angle overall, I just sort of sit here and I go, okay, next. And next was fucking Rhino getting a Ring of Honor World Television title match against Nick Wayne in his hometown of Detroit. This was fun. I know a lot of people were mad. There was no gore. It was all that shit, right? The whole, like, you know, from Christian's past. I liked this. And I'll say this too. And this might be a bit of a hot take. And I've always believed this, in fact. This is how you use veterans. And what I mean by that isn't the length of the match, whatever. They literally should be used to put over the young talent. I think everyone's forgotten the basis of professional wrestling. The basis of professional wrestling is very simple. If you get over, stay over as long as you can. But when it's your twilight, and let's be real, it's been past Rhino's twilight. I love the guy, but he'd probably even tell you that. Your job then becomes to put over that talent coming up. Guys like Sting got that. Guys like Brett missed the mark, but you know, certain people understand that. I think this is an example of, hey, what would it have hurt fucking, or, you know, in putting this together, I'm sure they were thinking, what's it going to hurt Rhino to do a job to a young guy that we're already, you know, putting together? He's the fucking second in command with Christian. Okay. So he's not just some chump. And he's got a championship. So now we get a title match on TV. Rhino, in kayfabe, got a title match. It's not like he's the worst guy in the history of the wrestling business. In his hometown. Hey, fucking win-win there. It was a little weird. I don't know, you know, the length, I'm sure, is probably due to Rhino's physical ability. This is not a miss. This is a good little, like, 5, however many minutes to put on TV with a legend. I think we're overthinking sometimes. I saw a lot of hate online for this. I saw a lot of, oh, here we go. It's like, guys, we're not fucking putting the world title on him. We're not parading him out there with a bald spot. Hey, be the 420th champ. Hey, give us the same 50 matches you've given us. We're not doing that here. We're doing better. We're going, hey, come out, do the job. And by the way, he's going to be on the fucking show tonight too. You goofs. Oh, he didn't gore anyone. Well, he's going to gore someone tonight. Probably Don Callis. I don't know, guys. And the other one, even if he doesn't, is that all Rhino is to you people? Do you not realize this guy deserves a little bit more respect than he does a gore? Really? Holy shit. I couldn't believe it. Either way, this was fine. You know, and I like at the end, Christian fucking, oh, here's your belt, drops it on the fucking floor, and then Kip Sabian runs after him. Or does Kip Sabian go, that was great? We shall see. You know it's coming. You know the implosion is coming. And man, I'll tell you what, speaking of implosions, there was a bit of one in this next one because the next match was incredible. It was the All-Star Trios match. Guys, this was fantastic. This whole AEW multi-man thing that they've been doing needs to stay forever. This is PWG coded more than anything that I've ever seen since PWG's glory days. Everyone involved is incredible. Every piece to this is incredible. Everyone hit their marks. This was fucking beautiful. This was like watching a Michinoku Pro multi-man back in the 90s. I'll put it that over. It was that good. It was so good. And the implosion I talk about is the young balds, as people have started to coin them, and I love that name. Ricochet and the Bucks had a great moment where they're like, yeah, let's go fucking beat their ass. And the Bucks are like, yeah, you go, Trevor. And Ricochet jumps on the apron by himself, and he looks back and he's like, well, you're not with me? And they're like, you got it. You got 3 guys against 1. You're fine. And of course it blows up in all their faces. Incredible. Can't put it over enough. Great moment where Swerve's having this super fucking comeback, and the finish is just Matt rolls him up. And I love that. That's some heel shit, right? Hey, listen, I didn't even cheat to win. I'm just a piece of shit that rolled you up. This was great. I can't put it over enough. I mean, I don't want to sit here and harp on it because I feel like people would get annoyed. I loved this fucking match. This is what makes AEW great, and people were putting it over very well of this is the perfect example of what makes AEW great, and that is their depth in their roster. This could have been so many different 6 people, right? And it would have probably still been great. I will argue the Bucks are next to none. I think, you know, when you talk about tag wrestling, I don't think there's a tag team better than the Bucks on planet Earth. And I think it's been that way for a long time. But even with that, that's how good AEW is. That's how deep they are. And that also comes with the criticisms, right? Like what I'm talking about earlier with the women. Like, you do have this great roster, so use it and galvanize it, though, a little bit. I think sometimes, like Mark Briscoe's a great example. Why can't Mark win a little more? You know what I mean? Like, I get he's the lovable loser, I guess, but it's deeper than that. He's just lovable. Right? And then Speedball's the new guy on the block, and he just is he has proven that he can hang with anybody on this roster. I mean, fuck, his first pay-per-view match was with Kenny Omega and fucking Ricochet. So this was great. This was easily the match of the show, and that's saying a lot because I thought there was some really great matches, including a little bit later. But before we get to the next match, we had another Ospreay promo moment, and this time it was with MJF, and I thought Ospreay was more fired up in this one than even the one with Hanger. And at one point he just, he gets in his face and he's like, yeah, okay, Max, well, I'm on another level. And I love that should be his little, I'm on another level little thing with the hands. It was great. He showed fire here. He got intense. So maybe MJF will be lurking in that final of the Owen. I would imagine so. We will find out, though. And I think that adds intrigue, right? Sometimes it's good because I see criticism on some of this stuff where they'll be like, well, you're just setting up the thing. Now I know what's going to happen. But do you? Because the thing with MJF is it's not like he likes either of Hanger or fucking Ospreay. He hates both of them. So there you go. I like that. I like that wrinkle. And I loved this match. Okada, Kevin Knight, Continental Championship Eliminator. Before the match, though, Kevin Knight gets the shit beat out of him by Roosh. I like this. I like this little sort of situation going on. Kevin Knight keeps going. At one point, I thought Speedball was just going to do double duty and jump in there with Okada. I got a little excited there. Kevin Knight, though, a bad motherfucker, took that beating and then had a very good match with Okada. And Okada was just in rarefied air here. I mean, he really showed off that, hey man, people have doubted why I did what I did and why I went to AEW, blah, blah, blah. He is right there with anyone in this company. And there's been criticism about his Continental Championship reign. Hey, whatever. I think Okada, as a heel now in the States, what he's done to sort of modify his style to America has been fantastic. Every time I've seen Okada in AEW, I've been impressed. He shows different sides of him. Like here, he's just a fucking bully with Kevin Knight. He plays with Kevin Knight. And he knows that, listen, Kevin Knight just got the shit whooped out of him. And with that said, though, Kevin Knight got over because he got the shit whooped out of him. So he loses with a huge asterisk. But more importantly, he showed fire here. He gave Okada a fight, even though he was beat to shit. Of course, Okada hit that Rainmaker 1, 2, 3. I like Kevin Knight and Roosh as a feud going forward. I hope that has legs. Please, God, Roosh, don't fuck up. Get fucking suspended again or whatever. Fucking tear a hamstring, everything he does. Because I want to see that match. And I want to see Okada, obviously, level up more and more as he goes on to that massive unification match that they are teasing with Omega. Maybe a match before that as well. Next was the sit-down interview with Renee along with Jamie Hayter. And she just lines it out like, hey, listen, I'm going to fucking beat you at Double or Nothing, Mercedes. I'm going to All In. And in the middle of this thing, she gets grabbed, snatched by the wig, if you will, from behind by Mercedes, and it starts a wild brawl. It's a really cool moment where you don't realize it's actually going on in the back live. It looks like a pre-taped thing with the recliner, or not the recliners, but the nice chairs and everything. And then they start brawling, and then they show the live feed of them coming to the entranceway, and it's like, whoa, it's a really cool moment. I'm glad that they utilized that. Something you don't see a lot really anymore in wrestling. And, it's a fucking brawl. Mercedes, in fact, retreats. Hayter turns her back, and of course, the classic babyface mistake. And she finds herself beat down from behind. Mercedes putting on that choke. And again, like Hanger and Ospreay, if you are not excited for Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné at Double or Nothing, you don't have a pulse. You're not loving wrestling, because this is going to be some good ass shit. And not to be outdone, immediately we get a fucking callback to another time in the AEW Women's Division, the announcement of the big match tonight between Willow and Chris Statlander. In fact, it's a great little moment there where Willow's like, I know you're sorry. I know all this stuff and it's behind you. And we have a bit of a little moment here, but I don't think it's going to be nice and coming up daisies tonight on Collision. I believe it's going to be a war. These two women have great matches with and against each other. I was very happy to see them throw this one out for Collision, a nice, Thursday night situation. And it was fun. It was a fun little throwback and a nice little backstage. And you can always tell that they love each other. They're buddies. So very, very cool there. And that leads us to the main event of the evening. And that was, of course, Samoa Joe, 1/3 of the World Trios Champions, going up against Claudio Castagnoli. And this was just a beautiful match. This was just an old school match through and through. This could have been thrown in the 90s somewhere, certain places in the 80s, I would say. High work rate, but also just back to basics. I mean, they worked arm holds here. They worked chokes here. There was a lot of... some might call plotting, I would say cerebral wrestling, right? High impact wrestling, as they used to say back in the day. Two guys that are mega athletes, but also guys that are good enough workers that know we don't need to necessarily fucking do every thing in the book. This was phenomenal, though. Claudio keeps going for the elbow that is taped on Joe. And right when Claudio has him down, goes for the big swing. Joe kicks him back, hits the Coquina clutch on him, fucking sinks it in, gets the tap. Death Riders, of course, make their way. And Powerhouse comes out with a chair to run him off. And we go off the air with a little face-off. And, of course, the tease for next week, that steel cage match for the world title, Moxley putting it on the line against Samoa Joe. Holy good God, that will be fucking crazy. As for tonight, well, let's go back to a week from now before tonight and do a little bit of a flash here. I will say this. I thought it was a good Collision. I thought, another match with Timeless where she beat Lady Frost, a good match, but More another eliminator that was what it was. Moxley and Joe had great promos. I would implore you to go on Max or Triller, whatever you watch it on. Go back and watch this show for those promos, and also go back and watch the war between Brody King and Josh Alexander. A great match there. I loved, obviously, the $100,000 four-way was great, was with Guevara making a return to AEW against AR, Kevin Knight, and Roosh. Gates of Agony continues to murder everyone in the world. Please give them a push. Give them something significant. And the main event, FTR and Paragon, great match. You know what happened. FTR cheated to win. There you go. That leads us to tonight. And we get another banger, Speedball Dralistico 2 for tonight. This one will be great. Every move that has ever happened will be done here. Great chemistry in the first match. I think Speedball gets another win here. Dralistico, though, with a great showing. Anthony Bowens, 5-tool player against Lee Johnson. This will be another one, a great match. I'll be honest, it'll be a glorified job match. We know Bowens is going to win. He's got to continue to win. I want to see Bowens in a feud. I want to see him, get confronted tonight by somebody. Let's make this something important. And Garcia will face one of the members of FTR. I smell some chicanery here. I'll be very honest. I think Daniel Garcia is going to join the FTR side sooner than later, maybe tonight. We shall see. But the story of tonight, in my opinion, in the main event should be Willow Nightingale against Chris Statlander one more time. This is going to be great. And it's one of those I can't call. I mean, I feel like both women really need and should get a win here. Not sure if that's what goes down. My gut says Willow. But I think, that's tough. Because Willow was out of the Owen, right? So she didn't compete in it this year. She was busy doing the Marina thing. Yeah, I think Willow gets the win here. And maybe that leads Stat to maybe a full heel turn where she finally is like, fuck this. I put in the time. I fucking bust my ass. I don't get anywhere. Something like that. So I think tonight's Collision will be phenomenal. And again, there's a lot of room for some other shit to go down. And I assume that it will in Detroit. Great venue, by the way. I loved that venue in Detroit. Beautiful, beautiful venue. The Masonic Theater Lodge, something like that. So that's that, folks. 100th episode. Can't believe it. Thank you, as always, for giving this a listen, giving it support. As always, I am on socials everywhere in the fucking world, it feels like. Yeah. So with that said, until next time, listen, let's be nice on social media. I'm going to actually have a positive little outro here. Maybe that thing you think you need to say to somebody that's snarky, maybe it doesn't need to be said. Maybe what we should do going forward this week, and I'm really honestly going to do it. When I see someone post something online that is so fucking asinine, the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look over at my wife and I'm going to say something sweet about her. I'm going to pet my dog. I'm going to listen to a song I love. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go outside and look at all the various wildlife I have living outside of my Floridian home. And I'm going to take a deep breath and realize, you can't fix stupid. And it's not worth your time.